Thank you very much. Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you coming on the Zoom line, watching on Facebook, or watching this program on YouTube. You're all welcome. It is a very special evening, a day, an evening to celebrate the life of a legend, historian, musician, and teacher, Mr. Walter Komla Blege. This program this evening is the celebration of live virtual concert. It is not like the traditional funeral that we have, but knowing the profession that Mr. Blege was in and the services that he provided to the community, it is deemed appropriate to celebrate his life in a very different manner, not a traditional way, as I said. It will be a concert, but before then, we will start with a very brief, I said brief, service, and we will transition to the second part, which will be the actual celebration concert. On that note, again, I take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to be part of this program, which is being put together and sponsored by the airways in the Washington metro area and the airways all over and across North America, the Airway Church of America, the Airway Association of Washington, D.C., or the Airway Association of the Washington metro area, the Maulian, the old students, and the school alike, friends and family, the Blege family, and all that who care and have benefited from the works of the honorable legend, Mr. Walter Komla Blege. Kick back your seats and chairs, wherever you may find yourself in, and be ready to enjoy this program fully this evening. On that note, one more time, I welcome you all of you, and I want to slip in one of the Ameokata le Cardiff Egbea Fienia le Ghana, the Pevovo, le Hikiame Godo, le North America. However, we welcome each and every one of you wherever you may find yourself watching this program this evening. We know folks watching from Ghana, it is very, very late. So we would like to apologize to you for the timing, but it is the time that is most appropriate for those folks in North America and elsewhere. So our sincerest apology. Thank you very much. Without further ado, I would like us to get it straight into the program. Okay, part one will begin. I would like to introduce, there will be a brief intro music that will be played. And after that, we'll get right into the program. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to call on our own Reverend Vanessa Mensah Edu, who is the resident pastor of the EP Church of Maryland, to give us the prayer of invocation. Reverend Mrs. Mensah Edu.
Can we please, at this time, remind ourselves about the brevity of life by listening to Psalm 90. Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. Before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the whole world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You turn people back to dust, saying, return to dust, you mortals. 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, or like a watch in the night. Yet you sweep people away in the sleep of death. They are like the new grass of morning. In the morning it springs up new. but by evening it is dry and withered. We are consumed by your anger and terrified by your indignation. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence. All our days pass by under your wrath. We finish our years with a moan. Our days may come to 70 years or 80, if our strength endures. Yet the best of them are but trouble and sorrow, for they quickly pass and we fly away. If only we knew the power of your anger. Your wrath is as great as the fear that is your due. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Relent, Lord, how long will it be? Have compassion on us, on your servant. Satisfy us in the morning with your unfailing love, that we may sing for joy and be glad all our days. Make us glad for as many days as you have afflicted us, for as many years as we have seen trouble. May your deeds be shown to your servants, your splendor to your children. May the favor of the Lord our God rest on us. Establish the work of our hands for us. Yes, establish the work of our hands. Amen.
The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. For our tonight's reflection, I'm reading from the Expository English Bible, Hebrews 13, verse 7. Remember them which have the rule over you, who were spoken unto you the word of God, whose faith follow, considering the end of their conversation. Beloved, we've gathered tonight to remember a father, an uncle, a scholar, a statesman, someone who committed his entire life to the service of humankind. The passage just read is talking about the spiritual guides which have been removed from us by death. Their Christian life and faith have been known by the church, by the families, and by the citizens. They obtain good report from all angles of life. The writer of this tried to avoid the reference to martyrdom, but instead to those who have ended their course in triumph of faith, as the late Komla Blege had. In Hebrews 17, it says, people think that the righteous or the ungodly man has no end. Let us see if these words are true. And let us prove that what shall happen in the end to those we feel to be unrighteous. In time, and in the case of Mr. Komla Blege, he was a righteous man. His actions, his services, and all records about him testify to this. In his latest book, In Search of Identity, this book tells about who he was as a family man, as a scholar, as a statesman, above all, as a Christian. His faith in the Lord paved the way for him to cruise all over the world, providing the services needed by the need. In the book of Wisdom, Solomon reminds us that the souls of virtue are in the hands of God. No torment shall ever touch them. In the eyes of the unwise, they did appear to die. Their going look like a disaster. They are leaving us like annihilation, but they are with peace with the Lord. If they experience punishment, yes, as men see it, their hopes was rich with immortality.
Yes.
Slight was their inflation, great will their blessings be. God has already put them in the test and proved them worthy to be with him. He has tested them like a gold in a furnace and accepted them as a holocaust. When the time comes for his visitation, they will shine out and he will take them with him. They shall judge the nations, rule over the peoples, and the Lord will be their king forever. They who trust in him will understand the truth. Those who are faithful who live with him in love, for grace and mercy are with those he has chosen. The late Mr. Walter Blege is among these heroes. This is what he has left for us. This was his faith. This was his contribution to humankind. In Ewe, it is said, "Mi don Kwamiya nu nola ameso grama openyala na mila pe agbenono mi don kuzi ni asroin ofe khose." Mr. Walter Blege, minami asro efa agbenono efe how efe nu de sia de siko wola no vinyo minane mi asroin ela bena ewonu tefe ekpode nyepere wa sime mi ato efa fotofe afetola ntona vemianu mi ame yoga lagbe be mi anyun tefe wola ida se kume. Amen.
At this time, I would like to call on Reverend Dr. Peter Eche Agbeli, who is the pastor of the Universal Evangelical Church in Silver Spring, to pray for the family of Mr. Walter Blege.
Dearly beloved, the life of our beloved father, uncle, statesman, a great musician and poet, Mr. Walter Komla Blege. He has been a gift to us, and God has used him in various ways. So as we celebrate and have this concert, I'm using Isaiah 54 verse 10. For the mountains may be removed and the hills shaken, but the favor of God will not be removed, nor will his covenant of peace be shaken. That is the saying of God. Almighty and everlasting Father, our Creator and our Redeemer, when we live because you have given us the life. And when we die, we belong to you. We lift up the entire family of the late Walter Komla Blege and all friends and family, both home and abroad, that our God, our Creator, like David said, though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil, for your rod and your staff, they comfort us. And God himself will bring us peace. And the work of our dad, our uncle, our great musician and a statesman will forever remain in our hearts. Though we can no more see him physically, we know that the Spirit will continue to hover over the entire family. Oh, Yehovah. Yehovah, miecho akwadada bubu kla kafu now. Elaba wonya do peji bene to tera to gbe obaha. Ye pa manu vema tera le miang tio. Eya tamion ha miele gbedom da chopo makata blede asiome. Po makata la ve plek beji te pa vovovo. Bena wonto na afa economy abale ke David ble le sambla et vevo etoliame. Bena me zombalido pluko chiri me ha. Nyema vojo gbe vereko. Ela bana wati ploklo wati zoti fa kona. Yehu ape akofa fane vana po makata. Yehu ape amenu vene gbagore po makata ji. Yehoa nega dong samile eyi sese ya ome. Eye wanabe doyo kata. Mia fofo, mia pa anchor, mia pa statement. He wo le anyiba ya jia. Ma vok bere. Elabe mia non kudomji. Cho jijima, yi jijima. Nemiele hao jimko, miela kofa fakpon, nemiele epe hao jimko, nkunu ple jesile jojo, eyata apoto, nye Amerika, afa konami, raman tonto, ipi church, ewe church, ple hame yokata, nya hame yokata, kare ipi church, nguti, mau, ne nokple foma mau ne chokode foma ji mau ne ve foma ngu be wa ayingo wa dedo la Yesu Kristo pankoma. Amen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. As I mentioned in the very beginning, this program is divided into two parts. The first part was a brief service. We've completed that. And now we are transitioning into the virtual concert to celebrate the life and the works of the music legend, historian, and teacher, Mr. Walter Blege. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present you to the captain that will be taking us, flying us at an altitude of 33,000 feet above sea level. It's no one other than our own brother, friend, Dr. Yao Ababio. Let's welcome Doc. Doc, take it on.
Thank you very much, Mr. William Ajimahe. It's a pleasure for me to be invited to lead this section of the program. More so because as a former student of Mr. Blege, both in the classroom and in the music field, I believe I was chosen because maybe I may have some ideas that I may want to share regarding Mr. Blege. So I want to thank you very much, the AV Church of America, for asking me to participate in this program. I have made a few selections of Mr. Blege's songs that I want us all to listen to tonight. I don't intend to present this in a theoretical, musical way, but I just want us to all just sit back, relax, and enjoy the music. Most of these songs are in Ewe. In fact, all of them are in Ewe. And they come across very philosophical, I would say traditionally religious to a very large extent. And again, in search of identity, as was earlier said, being the title of his book, you will recognize some of these things in the things that he, or the words that he used to construct in his music. So without wasting too much time, I'm going to start off with one selection that I have, which is Mau Bete Bleme. I believe most of you may have heard this, and it's more of some sort of an appellation to God. Good. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mau Bete Bleme. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Dr. Mrs. Faustina Quist, who is going to say a few words on behalf of the AV Church of America. Mrs. Quist.
Thank you so much. And I did enjoy the music. I would start by saying on behalf of Reverend Kennedy Ojafi, the pastor of our church and the entire congregation of the AW Church of America, I share special greetings to family and friends of our beloved brother, the late Mr. Walter Komla Blege. He passed away Monday, February 1st, 2021, leaving a legacy of positive experiences to the many people who were lucky enough to know or meet him. The late Walter Komla Blege did so much for many and the communities he served. It is impossible to recount everything he did because he simply did a lot. His amazing work has been well captured in these amazing three words: an educationist, a historian, and a composer. The three distinct organizations represented on the flyer, for the many people who saw the flyer: the AW Church of America, the Blege family, the AW Association of Washington, D.C. Metro Area, and the Mawilians. They attest to the fact that he didn't just make a positive change, but was really part of the communities he cared about. The AW Church of America, Silver Spring, USA, would like to share its fondest memories of a little man who in 2013 walked through the doors of a church with his brother and relatives. Little did they know that the man, petite and simple in appearance, wore and played many important roles in the local and larger communities. The former headmaster of Mauli Secondary School, the Deputy Minister of Education and Culture of the People's National Democratic Council, and the first president of the Evangelical Presbyterian University, Ghana, was going to lift up the souls of the church's choir. At the request of the pastor of the church, Reverend Kennedy Ojafi, he taught the choir a beautiful song entitled Amesiame Nade Abla. I hope I said it well, Amesiame Nade Abla, with the lyrics exploring life experiences through wisdom, which was used when the Ewe Church of America celebrated its 10th anniversary. What better way to celebrate our brother, the late Mr. Walter Blege, than remembering the songs he composed and taught for the church's 10th anniversary. It's important to know that music is life, and a good song is like a really good Ewe meal. I'll repeat that again. It is important to know that music is life, and a good song is like a really good Ewe meal. It inspires us and lifts our spirits. The late Mr. Walter Blege, the song you taught has had a profound effect on us. Music is life, and our hearts will beat to your music forever and ever. In honor of his name, the Ewe Church of Washington, Ewe Church of America, is considering making the song he composed and taught their national anthem. So on behalf of the pastor of the church again and the entire congregation of the Ewe Church of America, Miada Akpena Familiao for the opportunity to share a tribute. May the educationist, the historian, and the most famous composer, the late Mr. Walter Blege, Komla Blege, rest in perfect peace. Akpenami.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mrs. Quist. I'm happy you brought up the issue of the song that he taught the Ewe Church of America, which I had queued up to play later on in the program, but because you mentioned it, I'm going to bring it up right now. And this is a video of him conducting that song by himself. So here we go. Conducting the AV Church of America Choir with a song which, according to Mrs. Quist, may become the anthem of the AV Church of America Choir. Thank you very much, Mr. Blege. As of now, I'm going to be playing two tunes. One of them is Goliath, and is followed by David Zevi Tukwi, and I believe those of you who know the biblical story will do a better interpretation of that than me. So I'm not going to even try it at all to claim that I want to do that interpretation, but I'll leave it to you guys to figure out what the whole story is about, so that you'll be able to understand it a lot better than I would. So without much further ado, I'm going to play you Goliath. And whilst I play that, as you may have seen already, I have some slides that are running, which are basically pictures of family and or schoolmates or students. You can see that as far as OMSU is concerned, there's a whole bunch of year group representation in those pictures. That tells you how attached to Mr. Blege we became B students of my school, especially between the years of 1972 and 1978 when he was headmaster. So without very much ado, I'm going to play you Goliath, and it will be followed by David Zevi Tukwi.
Goliath, 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 Goliath. Goliath, 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 Goliath. Goliath, Goliath, wabarudukoji. Asante oraje. Goliath, wabarudukoji. Goliath, 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 Goliath. Goliath, 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 Goliath. Goliath, wabarudukoji. Asante oraje. Goliath, wabarudukoji. Canleto de Gbe, Cacosi de Gbe, Lizio le Bebe, Camapofia How, Yakuko de Pop, Canleto de Gbe, Cozo Apedo, Infundo, Togin Fifia, Chapu Baba, Meleboboro, Make me Benyego, and Pejitozi, Polisu Bibi, Ebe Incoyet Goliath, Ebe Keteclo, Akarekano Sobini, Okay Meko, Okay Le Pejimeko. Porque le flicaji maka, porque le peji maka, kiti kiti, Goliath, 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 wabarudukoji. Asante oraje.
David is Davidi Zuzevi to be the new Doyondu. 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 Davidi Zuzevi to be the new Doyondu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blege, for that wonderful tune. In a short while, I'll be inviting Mrs. Florence Besamete to say something about Mr. Blege. But before I do that, my short clip is this. I have known Mr. Blege since I was a kid, maybe when I was 7, 8, 9, I'm not too sure. But then that was when my father was posted as art teacher to then what was used to be Government Training College, GAFCO in Peking. He was then vice principal when we got there, together with my uncle, Mr. Albert Menka, who was a principal. And next door to our right, our bungalow, was Mr. Robert Indoor, who was a music teacher. So how did I know that our paths will actually cross when I went to Mali School Form 1 with him? Because he came to Mali School as headmaster in 1972 when I went to Form 1. And then we progressed on, me being the school pianist and the school students choir master. And that's when we had a more intimate relationship. But again, before Mrs. Besamete talks, I want to play one song that Mr. Indoor composed, which is Akuya Mevemu. I've always found this song to be very philosophical, quite philosophical about death. And I think that if you guys sit back and listen to the words, you see how death challenges us as human beings. The fear of being sick or maybe uncared for, and that all that goes with it is not an easy thing to deal with. So I want you to sit back and see or hear what Mr. Indor, who happens to be his co-director in the album of the Metaphor from which I'm making these selections, composed as far as death is concerned. So sit back, relax, and let's join Kwamiya Mevemo.
Agbe so ku pare me gbe ya me na agbe me pu are me le oba aye ko du me amoyan ife ameto ife ameno ife ameno bi ife ame bi ife e kono be bi ife kwa ya nya me nso ye ife aye ko du nyonyo me wike ma yi ma to amenye we egbe mi gbe je la jo me ya ku ya me bi mo ko do le gbe fe me fa ku ya me bi mo onye o ku ya me bi mo ku ya me bi mo do le gbe ti me fa lo emi na fo ma no yin emi na le ma ma yin me na gramdo eme ke mi na gramdo e gramdo gbe e do le gbe ti me fa lo ku ya me bi mo onye o ku ya me bi mo oya mebe mo dole baby me falo tena fomu malwani tena lemu mamani tena jamdo meke mie na jamdo gbe dole baby me falo oya mebe mo je o oya mebe mo dole baby me falo tena fomu malwani tena lemu mamani tena jamdo Dogbe Adolegbe ko mefa. I think that's
That's quite profound in our attitude towards death. Next, we have Mrs. Florence Besemete, a niece of Mr. Walter Blege, to tell us something about Mr. Blege. Mrs. Besemete.
When you have done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised. And we see this in Hebrews 10:36. And my uncle did that. This is a brief history, life history of the late Walter Komla Blege, born December 22, 1930, and deceased February 1, 2021. The late Komla Blege was born on December 22, 1930 at Peje in the then Transvolta, Togoland. His parents were the late Fritz Kwamiya Blege, Hamemega of the Evangelical Presbyterian Church, Peje, and his mother was the late Wilhelmina Abra Jato from Alavanyu Deme of the Catholic faith. These two cities are in the Volta region. His educational background. Walter, as he was popularly known, had his primary and middle school education at the Peje EP school. He then continued at Home Mauli Secondary School in the Volta region from 1951 through 1955, where he obtained his school certificate in 1955. In 1956 through 1957, he undertook his higher school education, higher school certificate of education at the Achimota School, Accra. In 1957-61 through 61, he entered University College of Gold Coast, where he obtained his Bachelor of Arts degree with honors in African history. In 1962 through 1963, he returned to the University of Ghana, Legon, for his postgraduate course and obtained a diploma in education. In 1967, he won a Canadian government scholarship tenable at the University of Toronto, Canada, and obtained his master's degree in curriculum research. In 1971, he undertook further studies in curriculum studies and obtained an advanced diploma at the International Institute of Education Evaluation, International Institute of Education, Grana, in Sweden. Professional career. In 1961 through 1964, the late Walter was appointed education officer. In 1965, he was promoted senior education officer. And in 1969 through 1973, he was offered head of UNESCO. In 1965, he was promoted senior education officer And in 1969 through 1973, he was offered head of UNESCO Curriculum Research and Development, Curriculum Research and Development. In 1972, he was promoted and appointed. He was promoted Principal Education Officer, and in 1981, he was promoted Director of Education. In 1983, he was again promoted and appointed Deputy Director General, Ghana Education Service. And in 1985 through 1992, he was appointed PNDC Deputy Secretary, Minister with special responsibility for culture. In 1972, the late Walter Blege became a presbyter in the EP Church and chairman of Hajigbane Society, Ebe Hajigbane Society in 2002. In 1961 through 1962, he was appointed teacher, Government Secondary School, Government Secondary Technical, Takoradi. And in 1963 through 1967, he was appointed Vice Principal, Government Teacher Training College, Peki. 1972 through 1978, he was Headmaster, Mauli Secondary School, Volta Region. And in 1978 through 1981, he was a Headmaster at Anum Secondary School. 1981 through 1983, he was Director, National Academy of Music, Winneba. And in 1994 through 1998, he was a lecturer, University College of Education, Winneba. 2006 through 2011, he was a founding president of the Evangelical Presbyterian University College at Ho, Volta Region. And for Walter, that's how I call him, because I'm used to calling even my father and my uncles, his younger brothers. For the only person I call uncle is the last born, who is Komla Blege. He's the only one I have done the title uncle on. So here, if I address him as a fool, is because that's how I'm used to calling him. Yeah. My uncle, for Walter, did not only enjoy fame or success. In 1962, he experienced grief, as well as he experienced grief at the loss of his wife, the wife of his youth, through childbirth. He then turned to his passion, which is music. And in 1983, he led the EP Church Ambassador Choir Dumedefo to a tour of Germany. The music was like the very breath that he breathes. And you can't joke with his music. A very, very strong disciplinarian. And one funny thing he did when he was the choir master at the Mamprobi AP Church, he went to practice one day, and the choir, the choristers were talking, and this is something they always do. And the son, he had warned them several times, but because he does not shout and he's calm, they will not listen. So this day he went to practice with them, and they were talking. So he sat on the organ with his books and waited until when they had finished talking, and turned to him and sat down for him to start practicing with them. He packed his books and left. Now Sunday, the choir was in a fix because they did not know what to do. And that's how he changed them to be serious. They never tried it again. In 1986, he again led the Dumedefo choir to Germany, where they performed opera Cristo. The late Walter Blege was a self-taught musician. He, with one of his elder brothers, an uncle and cousins and friends, formed a Kwege orchestra. And the band is now what school of the students, Kwege Secondary School is using. Walter transposed African traditional music, Adebu, Agbaja, Gabada, Totueme, Bobobo, and etc. He transposed these compositions into inspirational praise and worship and choir settings from the Word of God, the Bible. Satchmo was his nickname when he was in Achmota, and those who were his mates till today, the name they call him by is Satchmo, because he likes to sing and he loves the trumpet and he blows it like Louis Armstrong. So that was a nickname he had in his Achmota school days. He has over 150 compositions at his credit, and he left behind, or he was survived by 7 children, many cousins, because I don't know some of my cousins, many nieces and nephews, because I don't know some of my cousins. So you excuse me for that. So Walter Blege, this day as we are celebrating his life, all we can say is that, or I can say, is that I had an uncle, very simple, but dedicated and shared by all who come his way. Very simple man, but everyone who had contact with him had something good to say about him. Doesn't cause him to be to give of himself, as he showed us at the AV Church of America when he walked in. It was with pleasure that he taught us a new song that we celebrated our 10th anniversary with. Most of the points were already spoken about. So I don't want to repeat them. So all I can say here is head the new uncle, Efo, Togbe, Tata. May the Almighty God Himself give you everlasting rest. Amen.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Besemete. That was a brilliant recollection of what our headmaster, father, grandpa, uncle was in his lifetime. That was Enuaninho. Before I continue, and shortly I'll be inviting Dr. Evans Apenya, who is the president of the Old Maoli Students Union in North America, to tell us a little bit about what he knows of Mr. Blege as far as his Maoli school days are concerned. But before we do that, I want to share this screen with you, which is basically our request. If you have any donations that you want to make to the family, these are the avenues we have through which this can be done. You can use Zelle or Cash App or Venmo, and the number there is 240-305-2457. And if you want a name associated with that, is Enyunam Blege, one of his nieces, through whom we are putting together all these financial instruments. And if you are not in a position to do it right away, you can always send a check to Enyunam at 1404 Bush Road, 7 Maryland 21144. So that is our appeal to all of you who want to contribute towards helping the family out to make your donations through these channels. And I'll bring this back again somewhere down the line. But for now, I want to add one more selection before we go to Dr. Apenya, and this selection has to do with Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel.
Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel. Nunya Ajido Asime Tunnel.
Thank you very much. I will now call upon Dr. Evans Apenya, who again is president of the Old Maoli Students Union in North America, to give us a few comments. Dr. Apenya.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Let me stand on behalf of, I'm sorry about that. I stand on behalf of OMSU, that is the Old Maori Students Union, to thank the organizers of this event, the Ever Church of North America, and all the people who actually put this event together. It is nice to be here today, and I'm gonna just make a few comments and then sit down. I was in Maori school from 1971-72 through 1976. And then I left for sixth form in Ghana Secondary Technical School in Takoradi. And so between the time 1972 through 1976, I will call myself directly one of the products of Komla Blege, as we used to call him. And just to pick up from where Auntie Florence was talking about, that Komla Blege was a disciplinarian. He was the one who coined the phrase, and I remember very well because it has stayed in my memory all these years. Any breach of school regulation, any breach of common sense is a breach of school regulations. Any breach of common sense is a breach of school regulations. So during his time as headmaster, there was discipline, and that helped us a great deal. Today, most of us find ourselves in very responsible positions. I'm currently the professor and chair of the Department of Mathematics in Elmhurst University here in Illinois, which is just outside Chicago. And you cannot get far if you are not disciplined, or if you don't have the discipline to be able to focus and focus very, very nicely. And this we learned from Maori school. Till today, when I wake up in the morning, I make my bed. That is the first thing. And when I was telling my kids, you know, the US-born kids to make their beds, they were looking at me funny. But they have also picked up on that because one of my sons has gotten into the US military, and those were some of the things they are enforcing over there. So he wasn't very surprised that we have been able to pass these traditions down to our children, who will be able to pass them down also to their children and their children's children. So we learned a lot in Maori school, and I think that the key thing was about discipline. I remember on one day, that was, we were in Form 4, and our teacher had not come to class for that period. And the Form 4 class was in the white block. Those who know Maori school will remember, was in the white block, not very far from the administration block. So instead of we sitting down and doing our work, we were basically chatting, throwing stuff at each other and things like that. Now, Tato was passing by, because normally he walks by inspecting things here and there. Komla Blege was passing by and noticed that there was a lot of noise coming from our classroom. So apparently he had stood over there for some time watching what we were doing, and he saw that most of us were playing. So finally he came in, and immediately there was silence. And he said, well, okay, follow me. So the whole class, we who were in the class, because some of the students had left, the whole class had to follow Tato. And then we went first to his office. Everybody was scared like crazy. We went to his office, and then from his office, he said, oh, you know, going down to the pig farm, I'm sure those who can figure that place out, right behind the staff common room, you will go down and then you go to the pig farm. So Tato said he had been thinking about digging a trench from that area right down to the pig farm, so we could start digging the trench for him. So we all were looking at each other, and he said, well, we should go and bring our cutlasses and hoes and then come and start. That was during class hours. So everybody was shrugging off, and then we went and brought our equipment, and he said, okay, we should start digging, and when we get to some point, we should come back to him and tell him that we are done. So we said, okay. So we dug and dug and dug, and then we dug about, I'm sure, maybe about 6 yards or something of that sort, you know, going down, and about 3 feet deep. So he came back and then inspected it, and he said, oh, you guys have done a really good job. And I'm really impressed. Then he said, okay, now fill it up. And he stood there, and then we filled it up. And he said, thank you very much. And then he said, you can now go back to your classroom and do your work. Now, from that day on, any time that a teacher didn't show up in class, in that classroom, nobody even dared to go playing around. We all sat in our seats and just did our work. And so this was a way of disciplining kids, disciplining students, but not destroying them. And that was one good thing about Tato. And we learned a lot. We learned to be focused, and we learned to do well. And that is where most of us find ourselves today. We have a flourishing Old Maori Students Union in North America. We have been able to fund a number of big projects in Maori school. There was a time that most of the buildings were having problems and falling apart. And we had been able to raise a lot of funds to actually support the school in terms of just making sure that the place was kept in a way that students who are coming up now can also learn in a very nice environment as we had during those days. And we will credit this to Tato. So we are thankful for his life. He has lived till 90. Coincidentally, Tato passed away on my birthday, which was 1st February. And that was kind of surprising, but also, well, we take it that there comes a time when humans reach a state of frailty and have to pass to the next stage. And that is what has happened to Tato, but he will be missed, and we will keep remembering him for the rest of time that all of us live. And we will keep making sure that his good works actually live on. He was a composer. He was an inspiration to most of us. You will notice that a lot of the year groups actually visited him. My year group 1976 visited him, presented him with a whole bunch of things, and he lived and was happy. And so we will just say, Tato Blege, rest in peace. And if there are any Maulians, I'm sure there are Maulians over here. Tato Blege was a Maulian. He was among us as old students. And whenever an old student falls, we have to sing the song, Have You? So if there are any of us here who can be unmuted, I will invite everybody to join me to sing Have You before I leave the stage to Yao. So please, Yao, if you can unmute the Maulians, right? I'm gonna start as the lead. Have you, have you, have
Maoli so here we. Maoli so here we. Me from Koromasa, me from Koromasa, me from Koromasa. Maoli so here we. Maoli so here we. Me from Koromasa, me from Koromasa, me from Koromasa.
And just to close up, OMSU in Ghana has a lot of activities lined up for June 29th, before June 29th also. The mortal remains of Tato Blege will be taken to Maoli School. A number of statements to be made over there. And before that, there will be concerts also. So those of you who want to follow it from here, these things will be streamed live. So you can actually watch from North America or from wherever you are. So Tato Blege, miagakbe na Yesu lo. Miagakbe mauna no primi miagakbe. Thank you. Thank you for giving us the chance to actually represent OMSU today. And thank all the organizers, the Ever Church of North America, Reverend Ujafi, Yao, thank you. And then thank you very much to the Blege family, and then to the Jato family, I think. And thank you all for holding this nice event for our celebrated headmaster, the headmaster for life, Tato Blege. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Evans Pena. I am very sure that if I ask any Maulian to give his or her opinion about Mr. Blege in Maoli School, at least those who were there when Mr. Blege was there, I'm sure you have so many stories. I was 1 year behind Dr. Pena, so I know what we are talking about in terms of those kind of very psychological punishments that he gave us, including instituting something we call special activities, for which we had to compete for being decent on campus. It's as simple as that. It's a competition. That demerit and demerit system, it was profound. Good. To continue, I want to play, as Mrs. Besemete said, Mr. Blege has several compositions to his credit. And when I came to Form 1, there was a music master called Mr. Yivi, but then he left in Form 2. So when I was in Form 2, so from 2, there was no music master. So I sort of basically took up. And then he and I started collaborating, playing the piano during church services and things like that, together with Mr. Nicodemus Gebe. And then in Form 3 came Mr. Tamaklo. But I remember when we were in Form 1, Hokoji, the last singing band, under the conducting of Mr. T.W. Kwamiya, made an LP, including songs like Kekeli Cho Kekeli Me, and a few other ones. And when Mr. Blege heard it, he said, well, we as those days, one of the best choirs, school choirs in the region, could just not stand aloof and let others do what we could also be doing. So he came up with the idea that we needed to go in and also do an LP. Fortunately and unfortunately, I bought one and I don't know where I placed it. And I searched and searched and couldn't find, but then I saw one song somebody put on YouTube. And I'm going to play that song for you with a copy of the picture of the choir at the time who actually ended up going ahead to record that LP. And this particular song, I think, is Olivier Menye. Okay, that was actually Mau Elulunto. I think I misspoke the first time. One of the tunes in a collection of about 20 songs that were recorded back, I believe it was in 1973 or 4, thereabouts. And if you were looking attentively, you would have seen me somewhere, you know, on the back row those days. But gray hair has made changes, so you may not recognize, you may not have recognized me that much. I'm going to call upon Mr. Feli Komla Blege, the junior brother of Mr. Walter Blege, to make a comment or two. Mr. Blege.
Good evening. Before I start, I'd like to thank you all for showing for this special occasion. So, if you are a young boy of, say, 6, 7 years, and you are given a task that compels you to use all your intellect, that becomes something you never forget for the rest of your life. When I was 7, my mom asked that I go to the EP Church chapel to go and call my brother, Walter, to come and have his lunch. That required that I cross the main road, walk through a compound, and cross a bridge before I can get to the chapel. I did it the first time, and after that, I really enjoyed going to call my brother, who was always busy practicing on a German organ in the church. That continued until maybe I was 10 when our grandpa died, and I was asked to move back to live with my father. So I thought that was the end of the music challenge I was going through until in 1964, I transferred from Kwamiya Secondary School to Peki. And in Peki Secondary School, at the end of the day, when I come home, I had to finish my homework before 7 p.m. because after 7, my sister, the late Esther Blege, and a houseboy, we became Mr. Walter Blege's choir by force. We had to practice and sing his composition to his satisfaction. Every line we memorized. Then I got a chance to come to America, where I lived for over 40 years. I went back home in 1986, thereabout, on a visit. And we took my brother Walter on a trip back to his former school where he was headmaster, Anum Secondary School. It was in the afternoon. Some of the students saw him when we got out of the car. We went to greet the then headmaster. We spent about 15, 20 minutes with him. We got back, got in the car, and started downhill. Lo and behold, there was blockade. Over 300 students, some with branches, laid down in the road that Walter Blege should not leave. He had to get out, talk to them, pleaded with them. Some cried, all because they love him. Four years ago, my wife and I moved back to Ghana. And interactions with my brother took on a different level. He will always walk to our house in the morning and wake us up just to come and chill with us. But we noticed that his driving was getting bad. Sometimes he would drive to my house and park the car right in the middle of the street. Other times, he would park so close to the gutter, extra 2 inches, he might have fallen into the gutter. So my wife and I decided to get him a driver, a chauffeur. But you know what he did? He would tell us he's going to Accra. He will be sitting in the car with the driver when they take off. 45 minutes later, we will see the driver. Say, what happened? He said, oh, when we got to home, they asked me to go back, and he would drive himself all the way to Accra. I believe few months, maybe 2 months before his death, he was still driving himself around in Accra. Walter Blege, Walter Komla Blege, was my brother. Some will say he was their father, while others will call him uncle, or some will refer to him as their mentor. some call him their headmaster or their principal. But today, so long as you are touched by this legend, I pray to God that we give God a big thanks for giving us the opportunity to relate to this legend. Walter, Komla Blege, may you rest in perfect peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Feli Komla Blege. Thank you very much. Mr. Kwamiya Ahelegbe. Mr. Kwamiya Ahelegbe, a former student of Mr. Blege, wants to say a few words. We are in the last 10 to 12 minutes of our program. So if Mr. Kwamiya Ahelegbe is ready, please, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. As Dr. Abadu said, my name is Kwamiya Ahelegbe. I came into the life of Mr. Blege at the age of 12, when the teacher we had going to middle school from 3 died all of a sudden. So Mr. Blege came to take his place. And it was a joy for us to share and had him as a tutor. He had so much of an impact on our lives. And 15 of us were his classmates, none of us ever forgot the impact he had on us. So grateful to the family for allowing him to share our lives with us. I wrote a short piece to honor him on his passing. And if you all bear with me, I will try and read it. Oh, Apato, Nufiala, Water, Komla Blege. Ejole miagboa. Wonkakadawo de maha. Alo, de ditengo. Ayiko, we wadolo. We, the young generation that you taught, when we were just between the ages of 12 to 13 old, as a trained teacher in Sokwe Local Middle School in the South Tongu district. Remember your impact on our lives. I vividly recollect how you devoted your times to work with us on individual basis to make sure we understood what you were teaching us. Wow, what a teacher with dedication to his pupils. You even welcome us to your apartment on non-school days to help us in our schoolwork. I will always remember you as the teacher that made a difference in our lives and education. Thank you for coming our way and into our lives during your time on this earth. Hope we will meet again in the afterlife. Hedeni, Mr. Blege, Lamuti Fafama. Amen. I was so glad to hear the songs that he taught us. A typical one, Nunya Adidoe Asimotuneo, 1962. I always sing that song to remember him. May he rest in peace. And thank you, the family, and all of those people who are involved in putting this together to honor his life. He was a great man, a great educator, and had an impact on a lot of us. We always remember him. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahelegbe. Mr. Blege didn't have an impact on any of the students would be a mystery. As I indicated earlier on, in my case, even though I was a science student, I was also a little bit musical. So 11 years ago, 12 years ago, when we met for the 60th anniversary celebration of Mali School Golden Jubilee, he approached me in the presence of Dr. Trost and said that if I remembered, we had done, or he and Jubadepo had done this LP when they went to Germany in 1983. Unfortunately, due to the advancement of technology, LPs were becoming less popular. So how do we convert these to CDs? And he pulled out the only last copy of the LP that he had, which was scrappy, burnt, scratchy all over the place. So he said, well, that's your task. That's a job I've given you to go figure it out. And that resulted in this CD. It took me about a year to clean it up, remix it, and we ended up producing only just about 1,000 copies of that. And he always calls and say, hey, can we do more? Can we produce more? Unfortunately, what he does is you spend money to make it, but then he goes and donates it to the EP church. And that's it. So anyway, yeah, it took us some time, but we were able to reproduce this. We were in the process of doing the same for the Opera Cristo presentation when unfortunately he passed on, but I believe it's a task that we'll do to complete. I have loaded these onto the YouTube, so any of you who will be interested can go out there and download it. At least it's free over there. And if we are able to, if I'm able to load Opera Crystal, you get it. And also I'll be looking for the original LP for the one we did with Marley School and see if I can clean those up too and load them up there to his memory. So before I ask Mr. Komla Blege, his son, to come in and give us the vote of thanks, I want to play you one more tune. I see Mr. David Tay, Dr. David Tay wanted to say this. So let me play one song and then I'll come back to you, Dr. Tay. Okay?
Apaule ay Yosiwelu.
Melody wo ineke mapo lezan. Apeto yese melody wo ineke mapo lezan. Tinya budo le pepe. Apeto yese melody wo ineke mapo lezan. Apeto yese melody wo ineke mapo lezan. Apeto yese melody wo ineke mapo lezan. Tinya budo le pepe. Apeto yese melody wo ineke mapo lezan. Apeto dole me miapo lezan. Dada nye mawe. 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 Bele maume na apeto dole me bele maume na apeto dole me ati kokore me miapo lezan. Bele maume na ati kokore me atakwe gare me miapo lezan. Bele maume na atakwe gare me agado gare me miapo lezan. Bele maume na agado gare me togo glore me miapo lezan. Bele maume na togo glore me gare me miapo lezan. Bele maume na gare me maume la vile ko ti me koe. 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 Ti me koe. Maume la vile ko ti me koe. Ti me koe. Maume la vile ko ti me koe. Come nyu ola be ti me koe. Ate to ganga o ti me koe. Nyu ola o be ti me koe. To ki papa to be ti me koe. Ti la me la be ti me koe. Ti me koe. Maume la vile ko ti me koe. Ti me koe. Maume la vile ko ti me koe. Maune me kokola tinyefa. Maune me kokola tinyefa. Maune me kokola
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Devite, I believe, is a mate of Mr. Blege. He's
Yes.
in the cool Canada. So welcome, Dr. T.
Okay, thank you, Yao. First of all, I must apologize that I did not let you know that I will be on, and therefore I haven't even prepared anything. So I'm going to be very brief as possible, and I'm going to ad-lib. Yes, you are right. I was in elementary school in Keta, and in 1950, I started the common entrance exam, and I always did fairly well. I was among the top 4 in West Africa, where I was even called to an interview for a trip to Britain by a Shell Oil Company, but I didn't take it. But then I was admitted to Achimota, but my father, being a presbyter in the Presbyterian Church, said, no, you have to go to Maudi School. So in 1951, I went to Maudi School. And lo and behold, Walter Komla Blege was my classmate in 1951. I love music. I learned to play the piano and the organ, actually, originally. The organ, or the harmonium, as we call it, from very early age. So when I went to Maudi School, I liked music. I had my own little organ. I took to Maudi School. We started at Boji. At that time, no, the new buildings were not up at all. But I used to play the music, even at church. But Walter, as you all know, some of them call him Tato, or Papa, Uncle, anything. He loved music. So when Walter had me play the piano or the organ, he would come and stand by me. I have my own books. I play from notes. And Walter used to sing as I played. So we did that from 1951 until we finished in 1955. So in 1955, of course, the new buildings were up. We moved to the new quarters. I believe it was in 1953, around that, when Independence Hall, not Independence Hall, the new halls were built. And Walter and I were very close because we had something in common, which is music. He liked to sing, and I like to play the organ and the piano. But I lost touch with him since I left Maudi School. I went to Kumasi, at that time was Kumasi College of Technology, and did my 6th form there in 1956 and 57. Then I did my engineering degree also in Kumasi, and I had a scholarship, and I came to Canada, University of Toronto, and did my master's degree. And the university at that time became, the college became university in Kumasi, gave me a scholarship, and I did my PhD. So in 1950, I came to Canada in 1961. And then in 1967, 68, I went back to Ghana to teach at Kumasi College of Technology, at that time University of Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. But because of what Buzia's government was doing to us at that time, I decided to come back. So I've been back in Canada, Toronto, since 1971. But I have always been in touch with Maudi School, as Evans will remember. And I like to help Maudi School as much as possible. So I have even put together, as I say, I'm going to be brief. I put together our days in Maudi School in a book form called Mauli School, The Early Years. It's been published and it's been launched about 4 or 5 years ago in North America. And the whole idea is that when this book is sold, or whatever money is raised will be sent to Mauli School to help the school. So I'm still in that process. The book is not selling, it's sold some, it's not selling as well as I wish. It's on Amazon.com. You can buy it online, and it's sold. It's published in Canada, but you can buy it on Amazon. Anyway, the whole idea is to raise funds for Mauli School. It's not for me. I've been retired for so long now. As you know, I'm a classmate of Walter. So you can imagine, if you don't know how my age, or approximately how old I am. As I say, I'm forever 39, and I don't want to grow any older than 39. So it's unfortunate. Most of my classmates are going one by one, and it's unfortunate that Walter, who and I were so close in Mauli School, has also gone. And I give my condolences to the family and all his relatives and offsprings and people he's left behind. And may God bless Walter and bless the family. And hopefully the good things he did behind will be continued in Mauli School. And we can continue to help Mauli School so that the younger generation will also benefit from Mauli School, as some of us have done. So thank you for listening to me. This is impromptu, it's unprepared, and thank you for your patience. Hopefully we can meet on more pleasant occasions, but as we grow older, there are these occasions we cannot avoid, and all we can do is do the best, make the most of the occasion, and thank God and ask God to help us all. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. David Pei, out there in the cold in Canada. I see Professor George Daw. I know you were a student of Mr. Blege at the academy out there in Winnipeg. I don't know if you want to say a word or two. I'll give you the opportunity if you want to. If you can unmute yourself, please. Let's see. Yeah, you're unmuted.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ababio, for giving me the opportunity to say a few words. I want to again express my condolences to the family of Tata Walter Blege, to the EP Church, and to the entire nation. I will not be long at all. Tata was briefly the director of the National Academy of Music. But my relationship with him, it's more of I come from Alavanyo. So I know the Jatta family very well. And he was like my senior brother. We worked together at several fronts in the EP Church, in the West Volta Presbytery. And not to be too long, we worked under him. And I know Dr. Divine Babo is also here. We worked under him as the Hajibale Society members. The whole EP Church It's my prayer that we all need to know that Tata Blege has devoted his life. His songs are in our hymn book. He has translated a number of hymns. He has composed several songs. Most of us know him as only or in association with the Dumede Four. But we should know when we are counting some of the greatest musicians in the EP Church God has given us, we shouldn't forget, after Dr. Amu, Professor Nayo, Tata Blege ranks very tall. His songs, we always joke together that composers also preach. His songs are there for us. And let me end by saying, maybe on that last day, he breathed his last breath. Maybe two songs were warring, two of his compositions. We all know this song. My question is this a von or whether this is a nyue? But the second song is that he has also composed a song or arranged it. Dumenyo me sopo, Dumenyo ya me sopo, Emeyilo nyemagagbo, Dumenyo me sopo. But we are talking about our hero who clocked 90. So we should be celebrating. If we think about that, how God has blessed him. And we should be singing his composition, which he composed for the Christian Council, and we have been told it has been translated into about 30 languages. Celebrate, celebrate. I know we should all be celebrating. And and I know the angels will join us in singing. Tata has composed all the songs he needs for his homegoing. And I thank you for planning this. Sorry, I've spoken more than one expected. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor George Doe. I knew you definitely make a great contribution to this program, even though it was impromptu. Like I said, this was not intended to be a theoretical musical presentation, but just people to sit down, sit back and relax and enjoy it. And I thank you very much for your contribution. Before Wolase comes in, let's listen to one more tune from Mr. Blege.
Akwena
Okay, thank you very much on that. Before I get Walase to come in, I want to share this again. I'm appealing to all of you to make, I mean, for those of you who can make some donation towards the Blege family's expenses or whatever in this particular trying times. The contact I've put out there on the screen, 240-305-2457 as the phone number. Associated with that phone number is Enyunam Blege, the niece of Mr. Blege. I applied to Zelle, Cash App, and Vimo, and if not, you want to mail in something that would be by check or something like that, Enyunam Blege at 1404 Bush Road, 7 MD 2114. All donations will be acknowledged. Thank you very much. If Mr. Walase Blege, that is Tato Blege, by the way, the Tato name, the Tato title was bestowed on him by Malians who were in that school between 1972 and 77. There's a story behind it, but sorry, yes, and 77. There's a story behind it, but I'm not going to go into that now. So, Mr. Walase Blege, if you are ready, it's your turn. Walase, are you there? Okay, I can hear Walase. Okay, so I'll play one more tune while I look for Walase. And this is from Mr. Indo. Hi, Walase.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. And before I give my vote of thanks, I'd like to thank everybody. And I like people who are not showing their videos to turn on their videos and give a wave. so we can all feel like we're all together. Can I see everybody? I see my brothers. Enyo, oh, Uncle Ferry, my brothers, Edem, Enyo, Yaira, and everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for making time to be here at this time. I can even see some people from Ghana, and that's amazing. I'm actually lost for words today. Even though gratitude is least of virtues, ingratitude is the worst of vices, they say. On behalf of my brothers and sisters, Senor Ernest, Enna, Akofa, Edem, Yaira, and on behalf of the larger Blege, Jato, and Ewa and allied families, I want to thank the organizers of this successful concert that has honored my father's life and his musical works. Our sincere appreciation goes to the organizers of this event, and this includes, but it's not limited to, Dr. Yao Ben Ababio, to the Ewe Church of America, the Volta Association of Washington, D.C., and all individuals who participated in diverse ways and played in putting together this very fantastic virtual concert. I particularly want to thank the technical team and the brains that made this a successful and smooth, and all the individuals attendees that made this time to log in to participate in this concert, to support financially. It is said that time is money, and we don't want to take too much of your time because too much of your time is gone already. Our gratitude also goes to the Old Maulians Students Union, OMSU, that marshaled and encouraged its members in North America and across the globe to participate. For those of you who reside in Ghana, who participated, know henceforth that each morning you wake up and you hear a cock crow, it is just echoing the gratitude of the Blege family. For those of you living in North America and elsewhere, you are not privileged to hear the cock crow in the morning. It's because they have all been locked up in cages. However, when you step out of your homes each morning and you see the sun smiling at you, know that it's Tata, my father, Walter Blege, and his family that are saying thank you over and over again. We are eternally grateful. God bless you all and have a good night.
Thank you, Olase, and that says it all. I'm going to put this up here and play some music for the next 15 minutes, and you're welcome to stay and listen. Otherwise, we appreciate you being here. And again, I'm not going to repeat what Olase said. Thank you, and thank you one more time. And thank you very much.
I'm on Zoom, but I can't hear anything. What do I do?
Hello. Hello, Madam Yanko Saulo. We can't hear you.
Okay, that's one tune. I'll play a couple of Tata Blege's tunes, wise to just wind us down, so that at least just to keep us company until we finally close. This program went live on YouTube, so and it will be on YouTube for some time to come. So if you visit your friends and colleagues missed it, you can go on YouTube and play it. All you have to do is search for Komla Blege Memorial, and voila, you get a copy. So it's on YouTube, and you're welcome to go and think about it again. Thank you very much for participating. All the best.
Oh Somebody make it
I'm going to play one song that was composed in 1973, 74, more 74, 75 for the Silver Jubilee celebrations of Mauli School. And that's Amebovio, which was the first time that Mr. Blege attempted to use the photon drum as an accompaniment. And later on got Wolase, who gave us the vote of thanks, then as maybe, I don't know whether he was 10 years old or not, to play the drums. So here you go. Wolase, if you are there, maybe you can pick on the drums and play again. So I'm above you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to, I know there are still quite a few people here. I want to take this opportunity to once again, thank you for participating. I'm going to try to give you, this is the first Demeter 4 LP from which I did most of my selections, but I'm going to try and give you a taste of what the opera Cristo sounds like. And this is Act 1. Act 1 of Opera Cristo. Again, it's an opera, so it's an opera. You know what an opera is. So I won't go too much into that. Act 1 of Opera Cristo. And here we go.
Oh,
Abrochi evo le fnia. Ya se togbe gafa gbera. Togbe gafa nya dele fire. Na me droba oku tine onuna. Yake mi va mi wena mi la. Mi gbe. Enono. E ata ya mele na mi viero. If you are now, let me ask me, I got Bonami, and not to Jimmy.
Jehovah, Jehovah, Ebeto, Kedemiaoya, Miaode, Avoka Jemele, Anobiwo, Miele, Anobiwo, Miele, Miele, Avoka Jemele, Mao Musekatako, Siletipula, Penae, Nietovena. Promesi desena mi peno. Miheri na wodu komu wanilelu sonamu. Miheri na wodu komu kata wanilelu sonamu. Miheri na wodu komu wanilelu sonamu. Miheri na wodu komu kata wanilelu sonamu. Nyage mauti tanamo, lefofora, levino, naklepopopopelo, lekome. Miheri na wodu komu wanilelu sonamu. Miheri na wodu komu kata wanilelu sonamu. Mimblene mise, mimblene mise, mimblene mise, mausinye nyaboko. Mimblene mise, mimblene mise, yaunya mitomena mausogra. Mimblene mise, mimblene mise, yaunya mitomena mausoja. Mimblene mise, mimblene mise, yaunya mitomena maulisa. Mimblene mise, mimblene mise, yaunya mitomena maujito. Mimblene mise, mimblene mise, yaunya mitomena yanozoje. Mimblene mise, mimblene mise, yaunya mitomena yaunya mitomena 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 mimblene mise, yaunya mitomena. Siga Yamo Aqua Miao Bemao Menye Miao Bemao Pao Siga Siga Abrotiye po Mexico Quetese Chico Quetese Chico Quetese Abrotiye po Mexico Quetese Chico Quetese Abrotiye po Mexico Chico Quetese Abrotiye po Mexico Quetese Chico Quetese mawe, atisi afino online. Mawe. Mawe, Luciano online. Mawe. Atisi afinola. Mawe. Luciano nyala. Mawe. Luciano wola. Mawe. Oh. Mawe. America, Meto. Belebe. Mawe.
Well, that was Act 1 of the 3-act opera Cristo. And once I get it polished up and a little bit remixing, we'll load it up there for all of you to enjoy. So I think we've done a good I want to use this opportunity to bid goodbye to everyone
Elle a
Thank you very much. The after party is over. So you're welcome to, I don't know if anybody has any comments or wants to say anything. We are open. I'm going to stop the recording so that at least that section will not be recorded.